cares, wants to score a touchdown every time.
It's a run. It's Nix keeping his feet for the score.
I've loved my time at Oregon. I think that it was just a really good.
Nix, pump fake, takes off, into the clear. Bo Nix, there he goes. He won't be caught. He's done it again.
Over the middle, it's Franklin. Troy Franklin will take it.
Ready to chuck it down the field. Bo Nix to the end zone, dropped it in for Franklin. A majestic touchdown.
All right, welcome everybody. I know we've been amping this up. I've been amping this up on Twitter and everywhere else on social media, but this is the Signal Caller. So the Signal Caller is a show that I kind of, brainstormed about, and I wanted to have Solo on as well to talk about the quarterbacks. And we're going to talk about it from a Raider perspective, but also overall perspective, breaking down these quarterbacks, because I saw a Instagram reel of all the talking heads on from Colin Cowherd to Stephen A. Smith talking about quarterbacks, and the quarterback they were dissing was Jalen Hurts, that he can't throw, what he can't do. And I'm like, these dudes don't break anybody down. So let's just have a show where we actually break people down and just kind of educate ourselves and educate the landscape here about how like a quarterback decision should be made in a lot of ways. So Lopez, you know him notoriously, or you know him friendly wise on Instagram. Instagram and Twitter. How you doing today?
Good, man. How's it going today? Thanks for having me on. Thanks for doing this. This is great. I think a lot of people are excited about hearing all the stuff that we're about ready to talk about, considering the state of the franchise of our favorite team.
So the Raiders. So this is also the home for the Raiders. Put on Raiders podcast. Also the home for the Student Body Right USC podcast. So if you like those teams, obviously you can stay here. And then also, if you like quarterback play at all, we're gonna talk about all the quarterbacks who are possibly coming out. I want to start in the Pacific Northwest with one of the Heisman runner-ups, Bo Nix. And before everybody says, "Oh, Bo Nix, that's the one guy I don't want," let's just take a back seat. A year ago, right, we were talking about a guy, Will Levis, who everybody in on Twitter Spaces said, "Hey, don't want that guy. He's corny. He's putting mayonnaise in his coffee." Yet, last night I think he showed a lot.
Definitely, he showed a level of toughness that you have to have playing that position by gaining the respect. I mean, just throwing the pick six and trying to take on a 300-pound defensive lineman when he's already in the end zone, and he just rocks you because he gets a free shot at you when he's going into the end zone, and then to recover from that, it's a level of toughness that you have to have at that position, but it's not shown regularly throughout the NFL at that position. Especially as we're seeing quarterbacks that are just being hurt by the wayside. I mean, we're down to like 8 starting guys right now that are actually playing quality football in the NFL at that position right now. And maybe it's not even that list. Will Levis was a big swing and a miss for a lot of teams. I think there's a lot of general managers that are kicking themselves thinking, well, the second round situation, and even the Titans maybe possibly could have traded up into the first round and tried to get him just to get that 5th-year option, because he's going to be a second round guy. It looks like he's going to be around Tennessee for a while, and he fits Mike Vrabel. And I think that's the most important thing, is they paired him with a coach that is that fits his attitude and personality. And now he's going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder basically for his entire career because of where he was drafted. Mm-hmm. That just seems like he had that last night going in a really meaningless game for Tennessee, if we really think about it. But man, it meant a lot to them, and they beat one of the top seeds in the AFC.
No question about it. But right now, let's start our talk about. Let's start our conversation here, a piece here, part 1 of the Signal Caller, as we introduce everybody to Bo Nix.
Let's get knowledge. Here's a deep throw by Nix. Got a man. Lost it in perfectly. It's caught. Streaking down the middle of the field and in for a touchdown on the bomb to Troy Franklin.
Ames.
Little play action, and Bo Nix taking the deep shot for Johnson. How about that? Brothers touchdown. Load up the middle. Here come the Sun Devils. Nix going deep. Another Another score for Oregon. Troy Franklin is second of the game.
They've been flagged.
Oh, Tez Johnson's behind. Tez Johnson gone. No flags.
Bo Nix, 6'2", right? 6'2", so he's in like the 32 percentile of quarterbacks there as far as that goes. I'm not sure why colleges do this because he's probably around 6'1", but they always round up. I guess he's listed at previously at 217, but he has put on a lot of muscle. So it's right now he's around 217, 225. 225 would put him in the 62nd percentile of quarterbacks in the National Football League. So he's thick. Like, like when you see like a Russell Wilson who is probably like 5'11", but where Russell Wilson isn't Bryce Young 5'11", he's really he can fill out his uniform. He can fill everything out as far as that goes. The story is, he went he's from Arkansas, born in Arkansas, was Mr. Alabama football. Went to Auburn first, and then and obviously transferred to Oregon. Struggled at Auburn. Besides the maybe one half of football he played against Oregon, where he funny as it be, right? Where he ended up bringing Auburn back to win that game. But you can see, like, some guys are just like 2 years they're in, and it immediately. He was a redshirt freshman starting, and you can see the work. You can see the work he put in because I know the Auburn stuff that I watched looks way worse than what we saw from the Oregon stuff the last 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's not even a controversial take to say that if he had stayed at Auburn for that and hadn't really taken care of his college career in that regard, we wouldn't be talking about him as a draft candidate right now. There'd be a real shot that he'd be a back end 6th or 7th rounder at best in this situation. He totally and completely changed his entire outlook and projection. And now, I mean, just to show what he's done. I mean, he in his first couple of years at Auburn, he had 16 touchdowns passing as a true freshman. He had 12 the next year where he played 11 games in that. He played 10 the games after that, only had 11 touchdowns before he transferred over to Oregon. He essentially had more touchdowns this year alone than he did in all 3 years in Auburn, throwing the ball. I mean, it's an exceptional work ethic to be able to be like not give up and a mindset to be like, well, I'm just going to stick it out because he's going to be 24 in a couple months. So the 24-year-old quarterback is a rookie quarterback. It's getting up there, I would say, in age, but he still is maintaining that ability to be to keep developing and to keep growing and keep fighting for what he's trying to accomplish, which is essentially be an NFL quarterback. And now he's done that over the last 2 years at Oregon, and he's done that at a really, really, really high rate. Considering what he was at Auburn, which was more of like a dual threat quarterback, to now he is a passing quarterback, shotgun specialist, where he's got a quick release and he can be that Tua role almost at the professional level, where he's going to get the single read, he's going to play in a fast offense, he can play in the shotgun, and he can hurt you with his legs if he needs to, especially in the red zone.
And you mentioned playing under in the shotgun. He also, at times, they didn't do it very often, but he does have the ability to play under center. So some at Oregon, Oregon used a lot of pro concepts, including they used a lot of, because they had a good running game, a lot of play action as well. So he's able to get the ball, use play action to get the ball deep to Franklin and players like that. So those are the kind of things that you're looking for. But I think the biggest thing is, I know people I was listening to Mo Moten today, and he was talking about people are getting frustrated with the word like functional mobility. He is functional. He is functional, and he's mobile as far as being able to get out of the pocket. We'll show you some all 22 breakdowns of him doing that as well. You have to be able to move, folks. Like get over the. I mean, listen. One of my favorite quarterbacks of all time is Dan Marino. You need an all-star cast of offensive linemen to not be able to protect the quarterback that way. You need somebody who can move, and he can definitely move. And then keeping plays alive is huge, and he's been able to do that throughout his career. And you can really see a lot of it in the last 2 years at Oregon.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things about the mobility aspect of Bo Nix is, I mean, you just think about it. He has 38 rushing touchdowns as a college quarterback. That's not something to just look at and be like, well, it's college. He's probably he's gonna score 9 of them against McLeod, but it's not going to be the case in that situation. He's actually scoring with his legs, especially his first year at Oregon. I think he had 14 touchdowns rushing. I mean, he's a red zone weapon in the dual ability that he has in that regard. But I think what's most important is what you tipped on there is that when a play breaks down and you have a player that is flushed out of the pocket and is getting under pressure, if he's keeping his eyes downfield and he's still looking to make a play, whether that's finding an open lane to try to find 7-8 yards on a third down or a second down, or just finding passing, I'd say bypassing on his check down to try to find a play downfield, that's kind of necessary in today's NFL. The defenses are so fast, they're so quick, but there's also the skill position players that are going to be breaking down plays. Tyreek Hill is infamous for this. For when a play just breaks down, he's just going to abandon all aspects of his route to try to find the open lane for the quarterback in the open seam. I think half of Patrick Mahomes' long 40-yard touchdown passes were on broken plays during his MVP or his first MVP year, with just to Tyreek Hill when the play broke down and he was flushed from the pocket. So just keeping your eyes downfield and being able to break that, something that he does, and I think he's comfortable doing in terms of when a play breaks down, and especially it's going to happen at the next level depending on where he goes.
I think one thing that people, I think one thing people forget or don't talk about too much is that the 7-on-7 stuff that these quarterbacks do, like it leads to the people who are functionally mobile, who can make plays, who can get rid of the ball, quick release, being able to, the time fades and be able to, the routes with the wide receivers become easier, because a lot of times this sport is becoming like almost like a 7-on-7. You can't, the physical play at the line of scrimmage is more NFL and SEC. Everything else is like kind of like, you just, it's not quite flag football, but it's, it's close as far as that goes. So they're able to get the balls to the wide receivers really quickly here. So I'm gonna show you a play real quick. This is Bo Nix against Washington State here. Nix in the shotgun, play totally breaks down. He's rolling to his left, and then stops, comes back to the right, and throws the ball on the run, a dime down the field to Franklin here for a touchdown. So those are the kind of things that like you have to kind of be able to do, because yes, in a idealistic world, the play that's called is going to work, but sometimes it doesn't, and a play like that is what really sets quarterbacks apart from the guys like the quarterbacks in the Raiders room that literally can't move.
The statues in the Raiders quarterback room?
Yes, correct.
One of the things that I saw specifically when I was breaking down film and evaluating him is that I think where he translates best into the next level is going to be in that Tua type offense, where he is a single read, quick release, like really first read guy. But he's going to have the potential to obviously to go through his progression. I think that is where the development is going to come most in his next level, is when he's under center. I think he's going to be a fantastic play action quarterback, because I think when he sets his feet, he makes absolutely laser throws. But when he doesn't, and he's a little bit flushed and he's a little bit, the first read is not there, and his check down is available, and when he goes to that off of a off kilter set throw, it's not necessarily the best read. It's not necessarily the best moment. One of the things that I looked at to illustrate this is in the Oregon and Washington State game, where it was a pressure flush out, where it was a play action play, and his receivers coming into the end zone on a drag route, and I think that's the first read that he misses. And when he gets flushed into the pocket with expected pressure, he doesn't even really set his feet. It's almost like a throw where he just kind of launches it over to his check down to the right of the sideline. And that's a moment where he doesn't set his feet. He's off kilter. It's past his first read, and he doesn't really make a quality throw. But in terms of the opposite of that, to illustrate when he actually sets his feet, the clip I really want to show is the Oregon versus Utah game, where it's a bad snap in pressure. It's 3rd and 9 on the money down. This is where I really like Bo Nix, is in the money down. And this play right here is where he sets his feet, he's got quick footwork, and he lasers the ball over the middle, even off a bad snap and shotgun. He's throwing actually over the ref into double defenders on each side of his receiver, where only his receiver is going to get in the middle over the ref, and he sets his feet perfectly, even off the bad snap, and gets the first down off that. The money down is where he's unafraid to throw on his first read. He's unafraid to make the quality throw when he needs to after he's when he sets his feet. And I think that's when the most important thing for him is his first read is there. When he sets his feet, he's going to be one of the most accurate quarterbacks at the next level. And I think beyond that, when the play breaks down and he's unable to find the right check down that he wants, I think that's where he's going to struggle. And I think that's where development on the progression at the next level in his offensive system, wherever he goes, is going to be really, really critical for his development.
And you'll see there's a breakdown that I'll put in the bio as well. Mark Trestman, we know Mike Trestman, right? From the Raiders, he works for the 33rd team media group, and he did a breakdown of Bo Nix. I'll put it in the bio just so you guys can get as much information as possible. And he talked about him having a quiet mind, like not really getting flustered and things like that. I thought there's one moment I thought he really did get flustered was like kind of the first half of the Pac-12 championship game. Just seemed out of it, and I do think it's like sometimes there's a team who just has your number, a team that always gets you out of sync. I think Washington has done that. Washington just knows how to get under Bo Nix's skin a little bit. But even with that being said, they only beat him by a combined 6 points in 2 games. So that says a lot as far as that goes. And if Oregon was able to get a stop, who knows how that game would have went. I do like last year's Holiday Bowl, where he was able to fourth and goal, game on the line, even more money down than third down. Both pressure from both sides. He's drifting back to try to get some, and you can see here, drifting back to get some more time to get rid of the ball, and then able to get the running back for the game winner in the Holiday Bowl last year, as far as that goes. And then just so you know, I'm going to be at the Holiday Bowl this year covering it for the Student by Right USC podcast. Just a little plug.
Credentials.
Credentials. I'm credentials. I got credentials now. So as far as that goes, so I mean, I do, like I said, Bo Nix. I do like, it's hard. College defenses are not like pro defenses, so you have to. So obviously, we take into a lot of that into account when I'm looking at it. I'm not gonna say like when everybody's so quickly to say in Twitter Spaces and all these other spots to say, oh, I want anybody but Bo Nix. I mean, I will support any quarterback the Raiders get in this draft, because they would have actually entered new football if they actually do that. But as far as Nix goes, I heard a NFL executive, like I think it was Spielman, but I'm not positive. He works for CBS. He compared him. He didn't like him, and he compared him to Jarrett Stidham. And I was just like, to me, it was a rough comparison. I don't really think that. I don't see Jarrett Stidham in Bo Nix.
Yeah.
I think he could be a functional starter in this league. I think he could be. I don't know if he can get to the elite status, but I think he can definitely run an NFL football team for years to come. Obviously, I think that you mentioned it. The offense that you like him running is what they have in Miami.
Yeah, I like. I mean, it doesn't even have to be like specifically that, because they have so much speed on the field that it compensates even a bad read. Like, as we saw Tua struggle kind of bad last night when Tyreek Hill went off the field and was hurt, and he wasn't in there to be the motion decoy that they're using. And Jalen Waddle is a great receiver, but he's not Tyreek Hill, and he's not the decoy that Tyreek Hill is in that situation. He opens up so much more in that, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be that. I just think that any kind of, I mean, primarily the West Coast offense is not this is like a chunk by chunk. It's more like a death by 1,000 cuts type of offense. I like him in the single read offense. I like him being protected by the running back, by a running game. I like him in play action a lot. I think he'll translate under center just fine, as long as it's going to be a quick strike type of offense in that regard. I don't know if he's going to be incredibly successful being the elite playmaker if at the next level. And that's what he is right now in college. But I don't think that's not the mold of the quarterback that I think about with him. When I think about the elite playmaker, I do think Jaden Daniels. I do think Caleb Williams being able to being able to make plays out of really virtually anything. And that's also necessary, especially if those guys are going to be going so high. They're going to be going to teams that have offensive line issues, that have skilled position player issues. And a lot of the weight to be successful is going to fall onto them. I think Bo Nix is a ready-made type of quarterback where you're going to get flashes of top 15, top 18 type of play. But I think he's going to be just consistent enough to be able to run and be a guy that you're going to be in there. And I don't want to evoke the curse word of the Raiders, but I think it's a Derek Carr type situation where there are going to be limits, the clear limits on his physical tools, on his mental progressions, and his playmaking. But he's also going to be a situation where he's going to win you games specifically based on his play late in games, on money downs, and things of that nature when he takes over games, when he's getting all his reads done and everything just starts working and seaming and kind of fluid wise on the offense when it's just single read, boom, 2-minute drill. I think he's going to excel in that type of system.
I would say he's a higher level than the former quarterback of the Raiders. Because he's not afraid to be an athlete. He's not afraid. Yeah. He's not afraid to, like, if they're in man coverage and all the defensive backs have their backs turned to the play and he sees an opening to go run. He doesn't need a head coach to tell him to go run, like in the Gruden years. Like Gruden had to tell him to go run, and then when he got McDaniels, and McDaniels said, "Don't run." Oh, I'm not going to run because the coach said. When you can clearly get the first down on you get a 7-yard run on a 3rd and 6. You want to do that. Passing under pressure. What do you think his percentage was at Auburn at passing under pressure?
Oh, I don't have that stat. I don't know, but I'd say it's not great.
No, it's about 40%.
Ooh.
In his years at Oregon, he jumped that to 72.2.
Under pressure?
Under pressure. So that is really, I mean, that just goes into, like, you have these individuals here who are ready to put in the work.
Sure.
And show that over the years he put in the work. So I said, he's probably like around 6'1". Not as, not that elite as far as height goes, 6'4", like Will Levis, but very thick in his upper body. You can see the muscles protruding throughout on every throw. Fundamentally sound with throwing the football. Has accuracy, and like, we talked about, like, slants. Why don't the Raiders run slants? They got perfect guys to run slants. You got Jacoby Myers. You got Devontae Adams. Like, he executes that slant play, those slant passes very easily, effortlessly. As far as that goes, and obviously, play action really needs to be a part of. It's a good. Not that he needs it on every single play, but it's a very nice have for him, for wherever Bo Nix goes. As far as that goes.
Yeah, I think he's a little further along than some of the other quarterbacks in the top 6 class, where in terms of his NFL tendencies that will translate well. And I think that's what's important with this guy. Now, in terms of draft projection, I'm waiting for the combine. I want to see him throw. Obviously, I want to see the actual measurements and everything. But in terms of just what I've seen now, what I've seen on tape, what I think he's accomplished in there, I think it's a really safe bet that he doesn't go any further than the first half of the second round. I think that's where he's going to fall. Or I think that's where that's the furthest he will fall. I would not be shocked at all, because I think he's better than J.J. McCarthy. I really do. I think after the top 4 guys, I think Bo Nix is right there. And some people are going to make the argument that Bo Nix actually translates better than Penix Jr. I personally disagree with that. I think Penix Jr. is the clear in the top 4 with the guys, with the top 4 quarterbacks. But I think Bo Nix is right there, and I think that someone might pull a Baltimore Ravens and try to jump up to the 32nd pick and take him, and get that figure option with him. I would not be shocked at all if that happens.
Yeah, I totally agree with that as far as that goes. So we have elite, right? We have the elite class. We have the starter class, and then we have the the level below that, where you're saying he's
project and development.
The project development kind of situation. Where would you put him in that class as far as that goes, as far as elite starter or developmental starter?
I would say he's a developmental starter. I think that there are tendencies that are going to translate well to the next level that will allow him to play, I think, early in his career. But I don't think that you're going to be able to put the weight on the franchise onto him right away. I think it would be a mistake. I think that of all the teams that are looking for a quarterback, I think that the Patriots, if they pass on a guy at number 2 and try to move up to the first round again to try to take maybe Bo Nix or McCarthy in a situation like that, I think those guys are developmental quarterbacks or developmental starters, where it's probably going to be a year of growth, depending on what skill positions you have and what you surround them with. I think if you have a quality run game, then I think Bo Nix is going to be a starter next year. If you don't, and I think that he's gonna shoulder a lot of the offensive responsibility by himself, I think it's going to be an issue. And I think he'll need a couple, at least be protected somewhat in the run game as a rookie at the next level. Or I think he's going to struggle going through his progressions and opening up the field the way he needs to as a playmaker.
I would say this too. I think that, people ragged on, the Titans for not starting Will Levis early in the season, and they took their time to do it. I think that could be the same thing with Nix. An injury might change that. Like, he might go somewhere where they have a functional starter who's just gonna who is gonna just take up space for 4 or 5 games, but then he gets hurt, and then you kind of got to play him at that point. But
Yeah.
I do think having a Tajay Spears type back where you can just dump. You saw even last night with Will Levis, they maybe didn't run the ball great, but he was able to just dump the ball down and just keep the chains moving. Look at the Buffalo Bills when they made the change at offensive coordinator to Joe Brady. What changed dramatically is they are making a conscious effort to throw the football to the backside of the backfield just to keep the chains moving, so they're not in 3rd and forever all the time. So those are the kind of things that that I think can help a player like Bo Nix as well. I think he could be. I do think that because of the work he's going to put in, because of his command, I think he could be a starter in the league. Day one, I think he could be a day one starter. Again, like I said, it depends. It depends on what team scheme. If you put him in a scheme that doesn't fit him, then we all know how that's going to work. But
Yeah.
I do believe that if you get him the threat of a run game, and that a back where you can throw the ball to out of the backfield to keep the chains moving, so he's not up against it 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12 all the time, then yeah, I think he could be successful. And he gets the ball out of his hands pretty quickly. So those plays are going to be open as well, as far as that goes.
Yeah, I like his release a lot. It's lightning quick. When he's locked into his first read and sets his feet, he can throw lasers over the field. That is the clip that we showed today in the Utah game, where he lasers it over the middle, right over almost the left shoulder of the ref in the middle of the field. Those are the types of throws, especially on 3rd down. Those are the types of throws that you're gonna need at the next level, especially if you go higher than expected, or to a team that's not necessarily well put together. When you're going to need to shoulder the burden of a lot of those money downs and a lot of those plays in the red zone that your team's going to be relying on you for. And I think he can do it. I think he can. I think he's a developmental starter. I think he'll translate well certain tendencies, and if he just keeps developing like he has, if he has any kind of progression from Auburn to Oregon at the next level, and he's progressing even that further again from Oregon to the next level and translates his ability even further, then you're looking at a situation where he's going to develop into a really, really talented playmaker at quarterback. But it's all, I think that more aligned depends on where he goes, the coaching staff he has, the offensive support that he has, and not one of these influx teams. Because it feels like someone like the Patriots, if they pass on a quarterback at number 2 and wait for one of these later guys, I feel like that's going to be a situation where that whole team and whole organization is in real flux right now. They are in real transition right now, and there's some questions that need answering for an organization like that. I mean, it's the same with the Raiders. I'm not obviously, but Patriots obviously have been 2 different franchises over the last 20 years. But an organization that's in serious flux in that don't really have a vision of what they're doing right now, I think that's going to be an issue for a quarterback like Bo Nix.
No question about it. All right, folks. The signal caller, Dwayne Douglas, Solo Lopez here, kind of breaking things down for Bo Nix, so you can get some information on these quarterbacks, because the Raiders need to take a quarterback in the first round. There's not
first round.
First round. Has to be a first round pick. So let's get that.
straight pass play for Washington. Penix going far side. End zone. Odunze. Revenge.